Hello, I'm Greg, and I remember watching Raiders of the Lost Ark as a boy and always wanting to be Indiana Jones. And this is Lady Felicity, and Lady Felicity has always wanted to get close to whales in the wild. And so we set off on an epic adventure. The first stage of our quest flew us into Mexico City and our first ruins.
And right opposite our hotel is Teotihuacan.
Once home to about 200,000 people, Teotihuacan is now a ruin in the desert, overlooked by the Pyramid of the Sun, which is behind you, Lady Felicity.
Built about 19 centuries ago, this impressive structure climbs 216 feet into the air and is still open for visitors to climb on today.
Stopping and looking at stuff while I get my breath back.
As we climbed, we were joined by one of the many stray dogs around the site,
Who seemed less than impressed with my juggling abilities. The Aztecs believed that a cave beneath the Pyramid of the Sun was the birthplace of the sun, the moon, the stars, and all of humanity.
Various people, from the Aztecs onwards, have had their theories as to who the original occupants of the city were. It was at times believed to be built by the Toltec ancestors, by a race of giants, or even that the city had been built by the gods themselves. From the pyramid, we set off down the Street of the Dead. At the end of the street, we found a temple which had revealed a dark truth about the people of Teotihuacan.
And the Temple of Feather Servant a few years ago completely ruined the idea of these people as a friendly and chilled out, peaceful people when they found...
sacrificed fruit and seeds to their gods.
They found 120 people sacrificed underneath this temple. Some of them were sacrificed before it was built, and then some of them were sacrificed at the inauguration of the temple.
Perhaps because of the ruins, the sun, or the altitude, Greg found himself in a philosophical mood.
You've got all the wild dogs around Mexico. We started seeing them in Mexico City. We saw them on the side of the road all the way along. But here, it feels like they're wandering around as like the spirits of the people guarding the temples. They own this pyramid. It doesn't belong to the people. It belongs to these dogs that are wandering around through it. That's really quite cool. When you look at this, it is just as easy to believe that this was built by gods as it is to try and imagine that this was built by a pre-industrial people without the use of the wheel or anything else like this, and this is only the tiny section of it that's still here.
The time had come to leave Teotihuacan. As amazing as the ruins had been, we weren't going to find our jungle ruins in a desert. So our journey went east, towards the jungles of El Tajin.
Hello dear, the pyramids are that way.
As usual, Lady Felicity wasn't wrong, as that way there was an abundance of temples and pyramids.
This is a proper jungle ruin, and we still got to go further into the jungle to Calakmul.
As an excited Greg set off to explore the first jungle ruin,
Lady Felicity found her first jungle wildlife to film.
Yeah, if we got through here, we should pass some restored ball courts as well.
sadly, since our guidebook was written 20 years ago, the pyramids have been cordoned off to prevent people climbing on them. This led to Greg falling out with the book.
The west of Building 3 faces yet another small plaza. You didn't tell me what Building 3 was.
So, by the time we made it to the ball court, Greg had decided to interpret the rules of the game and assisted.
I think the guy in the middle is offside, actually. The one that's being stabbed. You get stabbed if you're offside. This one doesn't have anyone being stabbed, so no one's offside.
That you can see.
That's the referee in the middle telling this guy off. He's like, what are you doing? This guy here, he's looking down on the other bloke, I think. It looks like he's like...
Grabbing his leg.
Yeah, no, I mean, that just looks wrong. It looks like he's whacking him in the face with something.
Maybe the ball.
I'll be honest, what it looks like, and don't take this wrong way, it looks like he's winging into that guy's face. It just does. That's exactly what it looks like. Okay? It's a weird game, this one. Bit like a rugby shot. The guy at the back, the goalkeeper, he's got to have a big hat on. Apparently, that's part of the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so this is, of course, pre-Hispanic world, before the development of the golden snitch. As you can see, pre-Hispanic days, the golden snitch was actually preceded by an actual phoenix. They would release the phoenix towards the end of the Quidditch match, and they would have to catch the phoenix, which was later developed into a golden snitch after people complained about cruelty to phoenixes. Phoenix-eye. Phoenixes.
Unfortunately, on checking the guidebook, Greg found that he only agreed with the experts on one subject.
Finally, the south central panel shows a successful culmination of the ritual. The rain god replenishes the vat of pork by driving a perforator through his... I was close. The rain god replenishes the vat of pork by driving a perforator through his penis, sending drops into the vat. Did I not say he was weeing on that guy? That's pretty close.
Despite not being able to touch or climb the structures, El Tajin was still an impressive place to visit. As with Teotihuacan, the origins of the city are largely unknown and hotly debated.
The legends of the local Totonac people have the structures being built by their ancestors, although this doesn't fit with all of the archaeological evidence available.
From 600 to 1200, it was a thriving city, before it disappeared into the jungle, only to be rediscovered in 1785 by an official searching for an illegal tobacco plantation.
Ultimately, El Tajin was a beautiful gateway into jungle ruins, but being unable to climb the ruins made it feel a little sterile. To find the type of jungle ruins we were after, we would need to fly over to the Yucatan Peninsula.
But first, we wanted to see someone else fly, in the famous dance of the flying men, the dance of the voladores.
Starting with a ritualistic dance around a pole at the entrance to the site, the voladores then climb a rather wobbly pole high into the air.
At the top, 4 ropes are sorted and carefully wound around the pole
until the dance of the voladores begins.
As the dancers fly, so must we, onto the next step of our journey, taking us away from El Tajin and across to Mérida and one of the most famous ruins in Mexico. This is the famous El Castillo, at the ruins of Chichen Itza.
And these are the tourists busting from Cancun, giving us the clue we hadn't found our remote jungle pyramid here.
So we're now at Chichen Itza.
At Chichen Itza.
And the tour book from 20 years ago says that you could go through the doorways
into the Mayan pyramid. This one, the great big Castillo behind us. You can't anymore.
No, in the last 20 years they've cordoned off the doors and stopped you being able to touch the
It's become a tourist trap. It's a lot more like El Tajin. There's just everything's fenced off. It's still going to be fascinating to look round, but we're looking forward to getting back to some of the less touristy pyramids where we can actually get on the pyramids.
It's such a shame because the tour book talks about the view from
It's
the
about
top,
going inside and all the
passageways
carvings and
in
things
there.
you can see inside. We're now in tourist Mexico.
Despite the crowds and the market which dominated the site, there was still plenty to see. After his interpretation of the game El Tajin, Greg was keen to see a ball court on a slightly larger scale.
Well, here we are in the Mayan ball courts. You can see it's, I think it's 168 metres long.
While Greg played in the ball court, I went to find the sacred cenote. When this was dredged in the early 1900s, they found gold, jade, pottery and obsidian, and even a number of human remains, of people who had been sacrificed, being killed before being thrown down nearly 90 feet to the water below.
And if you look closely, that important ritual site can be seen behind all of Lady Felicity's footage of lizards.
Just get back to your ball court.
They actually had bouncy balls, which, you know, it seems such an obvious thing, but considering we didn't have vulcanised rubber until I think it was Dunlop with the car tyres in the 1800s, they had a version of vulcanised rubber made out of tree sap.
Greg kept on about vulcanised rubber for some time, until I convinced him to try his hand at historical interpretation again instead.
Okay, well, we're once again disagreeing with the traditional archaeology of the site. We're here at Chichen Itza, and according to the piece of information we have down here, this represents an important personage, and it has decorations of lattice work characteristic of the Put style. Now, what this actually has is this has a point in time where the builders of Chichen Itza got a bit bored and were having a game of noughts and crosses on their lunch break. As you can see on this particular one here, the artist that we refer to this particular builder as Chichen. He has actually won with the noughts over Itza, who is the crosses, and unfortunately played a really bad hand considering that he had 2 corners in play and appears to have cheated.
At the ruins of Uxmal, things were very different.
It just feels less touristy. You've not got the markets everywhere.
But we are definitely
in the jungle.
See, we're getting into the jungle now. Quite definitely.
Although we disagreed about what exactly made it so special.
There's lizards everywhere, there's these beautiful little birds
and that's
everywhere.
the Pyramid of the Magician you can see in the distance behind us, otherwise known as the Pyramid of the Dwarf, the greatest pyramid ever built in Maya history.
As Lady Felicity seems to have been less than impressed with my explanation so far, to tell you the legend of the origin of the Pyramid of the Sun, I thought I'd rely on cutting-edge graphics. Legend has it that a dwarf was born out of an iguana egg. He stole a magic drum and rattle from his grandmother, a local witch. This angered the king because a prophecy said the owner of the drum and rattle would take his place. The king suggested a contest where he and a dwarf would break cockles, hard fruits, over each other's heads. The winner would be king. While the dwarf survived, the king was killed, and the dwarf magician became the new king.
Oh, that's not funny.
It is. The king turned around and said, I'll tell you what, let's smack solid rocks against our heads without thinking, oh, hang on, I don't think I can do that.
Love the birds here. Love that the ruins are still home to them. It just makes it very special. They're living in each little room, nesting in the ceiling.
This is the first day, I think. Teotihuacan was amazing, but this is the first day where we're going to have to just rush away.
But rush away we had to, past trees, beaches, and dust clouds.
So this is the main road into Palenque. Oh, it's a slope as well. It's just a dust cloud. Yeah, this is the main road into Palenque. Not even the main road into the archaeological site, but the main road into the town. I think it's slowly coming out of the dust now. A little bit, maybe, ish.
But things got worse once we arrived in Palenque.
Okay, so the night we've had, we turned up at Calakmul. Well, no, we didn't turn up. We turned up in Palenque. Now, the address we had was go 1.2 kilometres along an unnamed road, which was a nightmare. Driving around, we drove up, we spoke to the police, we spoke to the guards on the gate of Palenque, we spoke to all sorts of people, and they all said we don't even know where this place is.
We tried in shops, we tried in petrol stations.
Shops, petrol stations, nowhere knew where this place was, and to be honest, it would have been better had we not found it. We got there, now we've booked into a family bungalow, and we got there, and they took us into this room, and they took us upstairs, and like the area above the door to the room was just busted and bare brick and crumbling. We went
It was plywood.
Went to the room, there was a lizard crawling across the floor of the room, and you could see through the floor to the people below. Anyway, long story short, we said, well, where's the family bungalow? And he said, well, no, the family bungalow's closed for renovation.
Unfortunately, Greg doesn't have a long story short setting. The bottom line, one of the most luxurious hotels in the area took pity on us and gave us rooms at barely more than they wanted at the B&B which led us down. Now if he's done moaning, let's get back to some ruins.
In the jungles outside of the main site of Palenque, the ruins were still in exactly the same condition that they'd first been found, bringing us as close as we could get to those early jungle explorers.
Piano, piano.
Piano, piano. Slowly, slowly.
Piano va sano, va lontano.
If you go slowly, you live a long time. Oh, wow. Okay, we're now using the torch on the camera to see inside this.
Avanti, non c'è problema, eh?
He says, keep going, it's not a problem.
Sinistra se può salire.
Whoa. Crawling through this dwelling under the trees, I felt the sense of exploration and adventure we'd been looking for.
Even before our guide turned you into Tarzan.
Salire. 1, 2, 3. Bravo. Aspetta. 1, 2, 3. Dai.
As we pushed deeper into the jungle, we began to see more wildlife.
Although some of us were better at identifying it than others.
What's that? Monkey, monkey, monkey. Up the tree.
No, escollátolo.
Oh, okay. It's a squirrel. A squirrel. Is it a black squirrel?
Look.
You sound so disappointed.
I spotted the next one, though. Oh, yeah, I see him. He's on the tree. About 800 years AD, the Mayan people had actually chopped down all the trees from this forest. And when they chopped down all the trees from the forest, they had big problems with the weather conditions obviously changing, and as a result they had to leave the area. They were starving to death with the lack of water. They couldn't grow food and things in the conditions, and so they had to abandon these temples. And over the course of 1,000 years, the forest just reclaimed it.
And now water has returned to the jungle.
Careful.
So, in July and August they have 30 days of rain which fills us up with water, and at this time of year we just get this little bit of water rising up, which they tell me is fresh water. It's actually quite fresh in there. Then Lady Felicity made a discovery in the river.
Fossilized shell.
So it's conchiglia shell.
Conchiglia. Vertical helix. Snail-like shell.
Yeah.
After she returned the fossil to the ground, we found some more modern creatures in the trees above us.
Uh-oh, they're wing.
Yeah.
Vale.
Nice.
It's okay, pee-pee.
You think they do the other? I want to run.
Ooh,
I think they did.
We took this as our cue to leave the monkeys in peace.
And we're crossing the bridge back to civilization, which I'll be doing from behind the camera. This is the bit that's been excavated and cleared out. This is what we've just been walking all over in the jungles. And the way we just saw it in the jungles was the way they originally found it. It's a different world.
Speaking of the excavation, we found an unexpected addition in the middle of the site.
So here we have something slightly strange in the middle of this Mayan city. This tomb is the tomb of Alberto Ruiz Urgelia, who died in 1979. He was the archaeologist who excavated most of the ruins here at Palenque, and you know, with his little stone tomb, he's now become part of the remains of Palenque, part of Palenque itself as well.
To better grasp the scale of the site, we decided to climb to the top of a temple.
From the top, looking over the site, it was incredible to think that the scale of the excavation was a result of one life-changing find for Alberto Ruiz Urgelia at the Pyramid of Inscriptions.
When he was excavating the site, he went up the top and he found a stone that had holes in it, and they looked like holes that a rope or something would go through, so he put a rope through them. Once he put the rope through them, he pulled up that stone and he found a 66-step staircase leading down to the tomb of Lord Cacao, one of the rulers of the Mayan world.
Although we'd been in the jungles in Palenque, the road leading to the entrance of the site had been lined with hotels. So next we tried a ruin with no road leading to it.
Yaxchilan, a site on the Guatemalan-Mexican border, accessible only by boat.
These jungle ruins, accompanied by the sounds of howler monkeys, were impressive.
What stood out at this site, however, were the intricately carved stone lintels above some of the doorways.
This time, Lady Felicity didn't trust my interpretations, and so we listened to what the guide had to say.
So this is a Yaxchilan version of an ultrasound.
So on that side is the pregnant wife and the king, and the ceremony of the snake to ask for a boy or a girl, and that's the answer, it's going to be a boy.
Once again, we found wildlife in the jungle ruins, and in one temple in particular.
This is cool.
The underworld.
Oh my god.
Underworld.
On our way to our final jungle ruins, we decided to stop off to visit the beautiful waterfalls of Agua Azul and Misol-Ha.
They were both stunning, but getting to them was not without its risks.
They did have back with the banana.
Flick was threatened. We did come across a group of ladies, everyone's trying to sell stuff, but there was one group of ladies who held up a piece of rope with bits of coloured cloth tied to it, who then started banging on the windows trying to get Flick to buy a banana before they'd moved their bit of rope. Until eventually I got bored and just drove at the rope, and it moved very quickly after that.
We even saw an unexpected creature in the falls.
And over there, we have the Loch Ness Monster.
It does look like it.
And then more surprising wildlife on the road.
You saw a jaguar across the road, just calmly crossing the road.
Just like this kind of road. But
I'm
further
glad
back.
we both saw it, because if not, we'd think one of us was crazy at this point in time.
Fairly young, I would have said.
Yeah, quite
A black one like a panther, and it just slunk across the road.
in the middle of the day, without a care in the world, it was like, hey, I'm a jaguar, I'm just crossing the road. Yeah, crazy. Just turned into the bioreserve Calakmul, and we are now on the road, hopefully, to Puerto Calakmul Hotel, which frankly, slightly better condition than the road into Palenque town centre.
Our hotel was a mile into the Campeche jungle and around 60 miles from the nearest large town.
We would be staying in jungle cabins with mosquito nets covering half the walls, giving us an all-round view into the jungle. And a hammock.
Just keep swinging, just keep swinging. He's coming. Are you filming me?
From our cabin, it was another 36 miles through the jungle to see the Mayan ruins, and on the way we stopped to see an assortment of wildlife.
maybe? Greggy, come look at it through this. He's back just there.
Including the Campeche jungle's most dangerous creature, the turkey.
Yeah, oh, it's beautifully coloured. Careful, careful. He attacked the car.
Did it attack us?
Yeah. You're alright, turkey. I'm sorry about that.
You're sorry about it. He attacked us.
I know, but we're in his area.
Male. Yeah.
He's very brightly coloured.
I wonder, he might be seeing his reflection in the car.
Maybe. I don't want him to hurt himself.
No, I don't.
He's chasing us.
Well, we set off in hopes that we'd find some proper Mayan ruins hidden in jungles.
Not messed with, hidden away.
That's what we got here, just behind us there.
Calakmul, we like.
Calakmul truly was what we'd set out to find. Getting here was not easy. It was well off the regular tourist path. But from the temple tops you still look out across a canopy of trees. The site hasn't been cleared completely. This was what I dreamed of, watching Raiders of the Lost Ark as a boy. It was difficult to imagine that this site was once home to 50,000 people. They lived in its palaces, they worshipped in its temples, and they played complex ritual games in its ball courts.
One thing that sets this site apart, though, is that they have never found evidence of human sacrifice here.
We're now on the top of the pyramid. I think one of two. This was one of the oldest Mayan sites. It was built, first settled around 600 BC, they reckon. It's incredible. This could be our last seat on top of a pyramid, and if you're going to have a last pyramid of the honeymoon,
Make it a good one.
I think this is a pretty good choice, right?
I don't want to climb back down now.
Flip doesn't want to come back down, so I'm going to throw this camera to our guide, and we love you all, and if you want to send a helicopter for us, that'd be great.
That evening, at a small cave a couple of miles from our cabin, the Campeche jungle had one more treat in store for us before we traded jungle for water.
Can you see which one's got the key? No, it's dead. One on home. And here, just as we're completely losing the light, the last people heading off up the path. And we'll leave the bats to their dinner. The water stage of our adventure began with an adrenaline-filled day at the Cenote Oasis Maya. For the record, this is when I wondered whether the jump was a good idea. It was when we rappelled into a cenote, however, that we began to understand why they were so significant to the Maya civilization. As we leapt into this underground pool of water, or one of us did, We could see the interplay of light shining down into the water and began to see why the Mayans would see a mystical element here. As well as being of practical importance as a water source, the pools were believed to be passageways to the underworld of Xibalba.
As we looked into the depths of the cenote, it was easy to see why. This is the Cenote Dos Ojos, where we were exploring, although we barely scratched the surface, so extensive are these underground rivers.
As recently as 2018, it was discovered that the 51 explored miles of underwater tunnels of the Dos Ojos system is connected to the larger Sistema Zacatecan, an underground river system covering a total of about 215 miles. We took one last look into the Mayan underworld, before setting off to find some underwater life.
Our next stop was Xel-Ha Park, where we'd come to start looking for some marine life, but began with a gentle ride through the mangroves on an inflatable ring. Until Greg got bored and stopped on the way to try out a rope bridge.
Which, unfortunately for Lady Felicity, I made it across without a splash. By then, however, we were done with the floating and climbing. We wanted to swim. Here, under the river running to the sea, we found friendly fish, a somewhat grumpy-looking fish, and schools of pretty fish.
Despite struggling with the health and safety requirement of having to wear a life vest while snorkeling, we still found ourselves swimming with beautiful stingrays. And after Greg got in some training for Itza knockout, and a low-budget remake of the Tarzan films, and had an argument with an iguana,
I'll film you and you keep completely still. But move when I try to take a photo.
we got to see the park's manatee, here as part of their conservation efforts.
These were just incredible creatures, and one day we hope to see them in the wild. For large wild marine life on this trip, however, we needed to move our search onwards. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the only real mistake we made in Mexico. A ferry to Isla Mujeres.
Whoa!
Okay, we're off. Nice turn around here, do we reckon?
I think so.
While we enjoyed a drive or two on a golf cart,
I'm gonna be honest, very different change of pace from our last car. This is foot to the floor, flat style driving. Also, I'm not convinced we went to the best golf club at Bogey High.
He's upset because others are overtaking us and he's got his foot to the floor.
I'm upset because I'm not sure we're going to make it up every single hill.
Oh dear.
Overall, the island was too crowded for us. We'd come to Mexico for isolated jungles and a tranquility of underwater life. This wasn't it.
Although if you are looking for a bars and beaches kind of holiday, we understand this to be a popular spot.
Very diplomatically put, wife.
Thank you, dear.
Sadly, we even found the underwater art museum we'd come to see far less impressive than we'd expected.
Interesting and atmospheric, but lacking both scale and marine life.
In fact, Lady Felicity was more interested in playing with the bubbles from the scuba divers.
We eventually found the corner of Isla Mujeres which suited us, in the tranquility of the turtle sanctuary.
Where Lady Felicity fed the turtles,
and Greg failed to do the same. We even saw the cutest little turtles, but we were looking for large marine life, and so we left Isla Mujeres and flew across the country to Baja California.
Gotta be fair to Baja. After the Yucatan Peninsula and Mexico City, they do know how to make roads here. It's got some nice long straight segments, and it's got some nice. I mean, it's going through a desert. You could have just built a straight road, but they haven't. They've made it twisty, turny.
They've made it interesting.
Yeah, a bit of fun. You can usually see a long way ahead, the same as you can in Italy, so you can actually enjoy driving it a little bit without. Because you can see cars ahead. Obviously, you have to be fuel efficient as well,
But you can enjoy yourself.
it's not just driving on a boring straight motorway and in the view.
It is nice.
And then there's the bit that we didn't get on camera, which is when they're doing roadworks, instead of shutting a lane down like they do on the M25, they just create an extra bit of road just out of desert. You just drive across the desert for 5 minutes between bits of tarmac.
We arrived at our tour office and our boat was taken on a truck to the sea, after some help in finding it.
We were escorted here by the entire San Carlo Police Department.
A little bit lost.
We asked for directions at the police station and, well, 2 of them were asleep when I went in. And so they shut the doors, all 3 of them got on a van and drove us down here.
With our boat on the water, we made our way over to our base for the next 3 days. Magdalena Bay Whale Watching Camp on Isla Magdalena, where we turned out to be the only guests on the island, and where we would be staying in a yurt.
Which, although basic, provided wonderful sights from our front porch.
We are on Magdalena Bay Island, just outside of Magdalena Bay in Baja, California. It is early in the morning, the sun is just coming up behind me, and today we are setting out on that little boat just there, and we are going to try and see some grey whales. And here is something we never expected to see, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Flick embracing a morning's camping, standing on the terrace of her small tent as the sun rises over the water behind her.
The shower is non-existent.
She's looking forward to her shower later.
She's looking forward to brushing her teeth.
Morning. So what's happening now, wife, for the moment?
We are going off to find my whales. There's no one else out here, is there?
Eventually we slowed our boat to give us a better chance to try to spot the whales, although even this didn't help my whale filming technique to start with.
To be honest, so far I've not got any good footage of a whale, so I might as well have you describing the whale.
I saw a whale, and it spoke
Then I got the hang of it.
That first day we filmed a few whales, and would have filmed more if Greg wasn't so busy posing.
It's the money shot. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's close.
Have you seen something this morning, wife? That's what you seen, wife? What you seen, wife? Come on, tell us what you seen.
If Lady Felicity had seen a dream that day, as we headed back to camp for the night, neither of us was prepared for what we would see the next day.
Oh, I wish we got it on camera. That is so amazing. That is it. That is in my opinion, one of the creatures likely to have the most emotional capacity on the planet. And it was just jumping out of the water, having fun.
She is long. Oh my goodness.
I know it's more humpbacks and there's a few other types that can.
but just they seem so much deeper than people to me. Intelligence, emotion, altruism, their family connection, the way they interact with each other and other creatures, there's nothing else like them. And I suspect I'll spend my whole life travelling around the world trying to find ways to see them and be close to them.
We'd seen the whales, and with only a couple of days left in Mexico, we decided to stay on dry land and try our hand at horse riding.
We set off in a trail of horses for a ride through the desert on the coast.
The ride gave us time to reflect on the marine stage of our journey. Had we really achieved all we set out to do? We'd seen large marine life in the form of grey whales, and we swam with smaller fish and rays. Could we swim with some larger marine life before we returned to the UK?
It was time to get on the road again and head to the town of La Paz, where Carnival was in the air.
Okay, so we're here in Carnival time. We've got Carnival running tonight. So getting onto the seafront is a bit tricky. They're cordoning off the roads. The police are about stopping everyone.
We eventually found our hotel and after nightfall ventured out to watch the parade. Among Egyptian gods, dancing pirates, elephants, sparkly people, and sparkly Elizabethan royal Vikings, we saw a float that suggested we might have found what we were looking for in La Paz.
The next day we took to the water off La Paz to try to find the largest shark species in the world.
And this is not it.
Off the coast we found a colony of sea lions who, like excitable puppies, just wanted to play. Soon we had to leave the sea lions to continue our journey. Our goal that day was to swim with whale sharks.
Very soon after we began looking for them, we found one swimming alongside our boat.
The whale shark is a slow-moving, filter-feeding carpet shark. They are the largest non-mammalian vertebrae alive today, growing on average to 32 feet in length.
It felt a lot like seeing the giant whales alongside us in Magdalena Bay, with one big difference. Today, we were going to join them.
So we had a lecture to begin with about how you have to stay this far away from the whale sharks, you can't touch the whale sharks, blah blah blah. We're swimming along happily following one, and then one comes out of nowhere and ploughs into us. So yeah, so much for not touching the whale shark. It touched us.
It touched us.
It touched us. We did not touch it.
As the sun rose the next day, it was time to head home.
On our way to the airport to fly from here, San Jose to Mexico City. Then we've got a 6-hour wait until our flight home. It's been an amazing honeymoon. I'm looking forward. Oh, did you see that? The whale just breached or something. Unless it's a wave runner.
A wave runner wouldn't make a wave like that.
Look, a whale just breached right in front of our hotel. To finish off the honeymoon then, as we're driving to the airport, a whale breaches in front of our hotel. I love this place. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone at home. I'm looking forward to being cuddled by my pets. But I am also sad that the honeymoon's come to an end, because it's been amazing and I could just live this life doing this again and again and again.
We're driving to the airport, we've reached the end of the trip, and it seems a good time to try and come up with some sort of summary of Mexico. What an incredible country. We've said all along, it's not a country in the sense of when you're in England, it's England. Wherever you go in England, it's kind of the same place. You know you're in England. And when you're in Mexico, we've travelled from desert, but not just from desert to desert. We've travelled from the dry deserts of Teotihuacan, the dry dusty deserts, to here where there's these beautiful sandy deserts. We've travelled through jungles, but we've gone from dense rainforesty type jungles to quite a foresty, almost English feeling jungle round about Calakmul. We've gone from sea to cenote. It's just the incredible range, and I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to be slightly racist now. I am going to do that incredibly racist thing of summing up an entire nation's peoples in a single word, but I was talking to Lady Felicity and we both agreed, if you had to sum up the people of Mexico in a single word, it's friendly. There's no other word for it. They are some of the friendliest people all the way through our entire trip. We have been helped by people, we have been welcomed by people, and we have really met nothing but a friendly face for our whole journey. Just an incredible country, an incredible trip. Mexico, we will be back. There's the airport.
Are we supposed to tip the lizard? Do you reckon 20 pesos? I don't know. What do you tip a lizard?
A couple of bugs.